Can I have your attention, please? We're calling the Asheville City Council back to order, please. I'd like to call the Asheville City Council back to order, and I have a point of order issue with the first item under new business. There's been a request to pull it because...
I do have a point of order, Mayor,
and
that's because on July 2nd we received a menu...
Councilwoman Cape, can I finish my comments?
I
will definitely allow you the opportunity to say what you have to say. There's been a request to pull item A, partisan elections, under the new business as a matter of protocol. Councilwoman Cape will let you go ahead and say what you have to say.
I would. On July 2nd, we received a confidential memorandum from our lawyer that stated that because of the filing period timing and things like that, that there was nothing we could do to reconsider this motion. Would you please clarify this for us, Mr. Ost?
It's my well, first of all, there's not a lot of guidance on this issue in either the statutes or the cases, and it's my reading of the law that once council sets the charter amendment process in motion by using a particular process, and you all have the option when you do it of calling for a referendum or not, that there's no, once you've set that ball in motion, there is no way to change the course. There is the citizen-initiated petition,
right?
Which is, and the time for getting that done is still not run out yet. But I think that under the law, if council wants to subject this to wants to put this the action to amend the charter to referendum, you had to adopt the resolution to do that at the same time you adopted the ordinance.
So there's nothing that we can do to change the outcome of our vote.
That's the statute doesn't specifically provide for anything.
So I guess my point of order is, what does it serve the community to bring this issue up without having, I mean, we followed every legal process we were supposed to follow, just like they did when they changed it from partisan to non-partisan. We followed the same process, and now here we are with nothing we can do. The democratic rules are and wheels are in play, that if truly a majority of citizens feel like it was the wrong thing to have done, there's a mechanism with which to engage with that. And that is the only way to engage with that. So to come here tonight and to go through this when reconsideration would do nothing just feels like a waste of time for the community.
Okay.
Mayor, I would offer that I believe personally there are alternatives, and that those alternatives should be deliberated by the body as to their potential.
Vice Mayor, and as we deal with this issue, I ask that no outbursts no outbursts, no clapping, no comments from the general public. Vice Mayor.
So, if there were the will, which I'm not convinced that there would be, for the consideration of this body adopting a public referendum, your legal advice would be, do not do that. That's not legal. Or that's, anyway.
That process is not specifically provided for in the law. The process that is specifically provided for in the law are essentially two ways. One is if council adopts a resolution at the time you adopt the ordinance. That wasn't done. The other way is a citizen-initiated petition. If this council decided to, by majority vote, to try and subject it to a referendum, and directed me to do so, I would take the matter to court and see if that could be done. I don't hold out much hope for that being a successful effort.
And Bob, you said that was your opinion, but have you consulted any other bodies around this issue?
I've spoken with the Institute of Government and the League, not the League, but the Attorney General's office with folks who are whose areas of specialty include elections law. Not about this particular question, but they did indicate in conversations with them that the statute was very specific, and there were only certain ways to change what happened, and once the process was set in motion, it was really hard and possibly impossible to undo it.
So it's not just your opinion. some other pretty well known entities.
Well, the one point we all agree on is there's not much guidance in this area. But in reading the law, we all came to the same basic conclusion that once the process was set in motion, there was not a lot that could be done to change that. And I believe in a conversation I had with you or another council member earlier today, it may, if the ordinance that's been adopted stands, in other words, if it is not subject to a successful petition, that it remains in place for a period of 2 years.
All right.
Mayor, I would offer that my presentation is probably dramatically less than 10 minutes, and a referendum is not our only option, but I have reason to believe that there are other potentials around this, and that this seems another orchestrated effort to keep this out of public discussion and out of the away from public attentions, and an unnecessary one. Give me my 10 minutes, and then if council wants to step in other directions, they can do so.
All right.
It's not been out of public discussion. We have followed all the rules of public engagement that has been asked, that is required for this. So to assume that it's been out of public discussion is really a framing of the conversation that's very unfair. And I mean, so, you know, this is another attempt, you know, a draconian attempt to manipulate the process to get your vision in front of people, when we've followed all the rules and all the public hearing rules and done it the way the state has mandated.
Please define it as you feel best, but I would like the opportunity to share my perspective on reconsideration for this issue.
Well, I would just like to understand going forward, when we have a vote on an issue, I would like at some point to understand how often we get to, if we don't like a vote that's taken, we get to come back within a few weeks and bring the vote in front of the people, in front of the body again. I just want to understand what those rules are and how we move forward without duplicating ourselves over and over again.
All right. There was a Bob, please tell me what I need to do next. There was a request by council to pull item A. So, do I need a motion to pull item A? How does that work?
Well, the rules provide is that a council member can get, any council member can get something on the agenda. The agenda is established by the manager and the mayor, council has had an informal policy in the past of requiring at least 2 other council members to be in favor of something to get on the agenda. That went away on some other issues, but I won't go into that. I said that was in the past, there is a way in your rules to prevent something from coming up from being brought up again to prevent reconsideration within 6 months. But the way the rules are written, that requires that a motion on the issue in question have been defeated, and in this case, the motion was not defeated.
All right. So the request was made to pull item A. So do I need to have a vote to pull item A?
I think that the item is in order.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
And I do want to make one additional point, though, and that's that there is always the possibility of legislative relief if council felt strongly enough about changing the process or subjecting it to a referendum. You could apply to the legislature to have that done.
Okay, Bob, you didn't answer my question though. You said the issue is in order, but I had the request to pull the item even if it is in order.
I made a point of order, just questioning whether it was in order or not.
Now, outside in the hall, you told me you wanted to pull it. I mean,
I don't
want
it to lose 30 pounds too. You know?
Now, if you're gonna come at me, you said you wanted to pull it.
Mayor Bellamy, I called on this seat. I called for a point of order. My question was clarified, and I've learned something that I didn't know before.
My understanding of Councilmember Cape's request was that she wanted to pull the item for discussion as to a point of order.
That's how it is.
Well, you were not attacked by her out there, so all right. You're gonna. All right, we're gonna allow the 10-minute presentation as requested.